Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Geraldine and I make videos all about simple life, organization, and planner videos. So if that's your type of jam, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also click the notification bell so you do know when I do upload, and follow me on all my social media. I'm at Geraldine Silva. So today's video is going to be a sit down video talking about how I was a 18-year-old single mom, and now I'm a college graduate, and kind of what my journey was like being a single mom and how I've manifested almost everything that I have today, and couldn't be any more happier with what I have right now. So I guess to get to know me on a little bit more personal level, and also for anybody who's out there who's struggling in any point of their life, because I've went through so many ups and downs in my life. I know some of you guys are moms out there and you're single moms or you're just working moms, and just the struggle of being both is insane. So I wanted to talk about it and maybe hopefully give somebody out there a motivation to just keep going and to not give up on your dreams. If that's what you want to go after, then do it. And I'm telling you, it's a lot more better once you're on the other side of that mountain. So let's go ahead and get started. Also, I want to let you guys know to not forget to follow me on my Instagram. I'm filming a lot more Instagram reels and making like come to work with me, like small little chunk of like come to work with me's. But obviously on my YouTube I film like the full slip of vlogs, speech vlogs. So yeah, if you guys want a little bit more of a speech content, go follow me over there. Okay, so I was 18 years old when I found out I was pregnant. I was still in high school. Actually, I was 17 years old when I found out I was pregnant. I was still in high school. I was in senior year of high school when I found out. And then I went through the shame of having to tell my parents. I went through the shame of having everybody judge me, which has completely shaped the person that I am today. It completely shaped the type of relationship that I have with certain people in my life, meaning my family, my exterior family, and the family outside of whom I lived with. It shaped the relationships that I had with those people, because they were always the type to just put me down and tell me that I was never going to amount to anything, and I was just going to be popping out kids left and right, and my life wasn't going to turn out any which way. They just frowned upon me and expected the worst out of me, which I guess it's like hater material and whatnot. And I was only 17 years old, so I still thought like a kid, obviously, because I still was a kid, and all of that hurt. But again, all of that also shaped me, because it pushed me to go farther than what those people are today, thankfully. And I was able to prove everybody wrong, and I'm still continuing to prove everybody wrong to this day. The experience of having a child young wasn't good in the eyes of society. However, it was good for my life, because without having those trials and errors in my life, I would definitely not be where I'm at today. I wouldn't know where I would be at. And where I'm at today is a million times better than what I was doing before I had Ian. So I was 18 years old when I gave birth to him. My partner at the time, we were living together. He was working, and then that's when I decided to go apply to schools. And I got into East Los Angeles Community College, and I went through the whole experience of going to college, and it was so rough on me, because after I think my son was like a year and a half is when me and my partner decided to just split, and he never returned. So it was just me and my son the entire time. And so I was doing everything all by myself. And mind you, my baby, like, he was still a little baby, and even when we were together, I had to do everything myself. He wasn't an involved parent at all, so I had to do everything myself. So me going to school, I had to figure out who was going to take care of Ian, how I was going to provide for Ian, how was I going to make our lives a lot more better than what we were living in, because I was living at my mom's house. And I was working at Domino's, and I had just became an assistant manager when me and my partner had split. So I was working night shifts on the weekends, and it was just really rough because during the week I would have to drop off Ian to daycare, which a lot of kids go to daycare. It's not a bad thing. It's just something that I wish I didn't have to go through, because I would have wanted to raise my kid. I didn't get to raise Ian, and that's one of the things that I feel bad for. But again, we have a lot more better lifestyle now than we did before, so it's has its bittersweet moments. So I had to drop Ian off to daycare. I had to figure out who was going to take care of Ian after I came out of work or after I came out of school. Majority of the time it was my parents, or if they couldn't take care of him or I couldn't find somebody, I would have to look for a family member who was the family members that constantly told me that I wasn't going to amount to anything. So I had to look for these people that put me down in order to put myself up, I guess, in a way. So I had to face the same people who were talking shit behind my back, begging for them to help me take care of Ian so that I could try to manage my way through life. And it really sucks. I had to swallow my pride a lot, especially with even my own family members at home. I had to swallow my pride so much because everyone wanted a piece of me. Everybody wanted to shame me for asking them to help me with Ian. So every single time that they asked me for a favor, and let's say I was just way too tired from everything, or I just didn't feel like doing it, they would tell me that I owed them, so I had to do it regardless. So it was really hard to manage that. It's because my life wasn't for me. It wasn't for me at all. And in that time period, my life was not for me at all. It was for everybody else, for Ian, for school, for work, for my parents, for my sister, for anybody who wanted a piece of me got to have me, because I had no other choice. I had graduated from community college, I think, is when people saw that I was going to make something out of myself. They didn't believe I was going to get into a university. Everyone gets into community college, like everybody. But to get into a university, that's when people were like, oh my god, how did she get in? Like, I used to work at once I moved on from Domino's, I moved into a teacher's assistant job. And I had another girl who I worked with there, and she was also a hater. So when I told her that I got into Cal State Los Angeles, like, she was like, oh, you got into Cal State LA? And I was like, not a bad thing. So like every little experience that I had, every positive experience was always cut under by somebody else. Somebody had to just be like, oh, you got in, or you're doing that, like, ew. And I don't try to surround myself with these people, but it just so happens so that these people are the ones the ones around me, and I try to exclude myself, but I can't pick and choose who my coworkers are. I can't pick and choose who my family members are, and I try to distance myself as much as possible. But again, I just needed the help. I didn't have anybody else to help me, and I had to look for the same people who talk shit to me to help me out, because I had nothing else. So again, I had to push on my pride and just be like, whatever, like, I have to work here, I have to pay for my bills. So I stayed working at that job with that girl who was very toxic as well, just to be able to provide for my son and for myself. With her, during that era of my life when I was working at the teacher assistant job, that's when I feel like was the worst of the worst, because every single day I was coming to work crying, and every day I was going home crying. I loved my job. I just hated working with those people because they were very, very toxic. They constantly tried to undermine me and make me feel little compared to them. They always had some elaborate story on how their lives are going, how much better they are, how much more money that they have, or how much more items that they may have than me. And any little enjoyment that I had in my life, for example, me going to Cal State LA, it was always just, there's something else on top of that for them. There was something bigger than that. If I said I had a cat, they'd say they have a dog. If I said I had a pool, they said they would have a beach front house. Like, there was always something bigger than what I was doing. And I never tried to fight it. I never tried to do anything about it. I just kind of, at that point, I just kind of just let it go and just be like, okay, whatever. They're just going to keep telling me lies, and I'm gonna feel horrible about myself, because at some point I'd believe them and be like, oh my gosh, is their life really that much more better than mine? Turns out that it wasn't. This person kept just lying and lying and lying, and I didn't catch on to it until after I left. But I was surrounded by so much hatred and so much negativity my entire life. It all started from me having a baby so young, and then people thinking that I'm less than them because I had a kid so young. And I want everybody who's watching this to use that pain as power. That's something that I've heard a lot, to use that pain as power. And I took my pain of having to get up in the middle of the night to feed my child, to having to look for the same people who will slap me in the wrist to be like, beg them to take care of my kid, essentially. I had to do so much of putting my pride aside and putting my own needs aside to keep pushing forward. I want to say that if you're in that moment right now where you're just having to beg for the same people who hate on you for help, just know that on the other side of whatever you're working on right now, whatever hardship that you're going through, and you're doing this for a reason. It's not because you want to be at home and being lazy and just like be on TikTok. It's because you're either working, or you're going to school, or you're working towards a dream. Like, it's for something. That sacrifice, you're sacrificing your time, you're sacrificing your pride, you're sacrificing your dignity for something better. And I'm telling you right now is that I was 18 years old. Everybody had something to say to me. When I tell you everybody, random people would come up to me like, oh, who let you get pregnant so young? Or like, they would look at me like I'm a disgusting person. And now where I'm at right now, I am able to state the resume that I have and what I do. Every single time that I tell people I'm a speech therapist, they're like, oh my god, you are? They're like, you look so young and blah blah blah. And I'm like, thank you. Yes, I am young. Yes, I have an 8-year-old child. And yes, I live on my own. I have this kind of car. Like, I'm not done having my hardships, but it's not as hard as it was before, because again, now I'm a college graduate. Now I get the chance to pick my own hours, to be able to pick up Ian, to drop Ian off at school, and I'll be there for him in the afternoons now, instead of having to go to work and work night shifts anymore. I'm in a state where I finally get to have what I wanted and not look for anybody who's gonna put me down to help me, because I can do it myself, because I sacrificed my pride, my nights, my sleep for this. And it took a long time. I've missed so many milestones. I've missed so much milestones of Ian's life and just Ian's accomplishments. I've missed so much of it. But now that he's in 3rd grade, he just started today. Now that he's in 3rd grade, I can be there for him. I can put him in sports that he wants to be in. I can take him to places that he wants to go to. I finally am able to be present in his life, and it's come it's been 8 long years. 8 long years, almost a decade in the making of me getting to where I'm at today. And I'm telling you guys that it's the absolute best feeling in the entire world, knowing that I'm able to provide for my son in this way, and I had to do it at the expense of my own self. So with that being said, this goes out for those people who are probably in the same feeling of feeling stuck, of not having anybody, not having anything, and having that hatred around you. Just know that eventually once you get over it, you'll have yourself to account for, and you won't need anybody else, because you'll make the life for yourself. So keep chugging along. That's a little like inside joke, because Ian likes trains. So yeah, I hope this made sense. I hope it was motivational, as I could possibly make it to be. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any questions or any comments, please comment that down below or send me a DM on Instagram. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye. Mwah.